conversation, gentlemen, but we want to get started here. I'd like to welcome you this afternoon. It's good to see some folks out here that are concerned about the continuation of the war, and we're of course here because we want to stop the funding for the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we have been asking Senator Smith to promise to vote against the continuation of the war now for some time. And we are glad that he has voted kind of in our direction a couple of times, but he has not done the one thing that he really can do as a member of Congress, and that's to stop the funding, actually vote down the money. So we're going to have a few speakers here this morning, this afternoon, and then we'll attempt to send a delegation up to Senator Smith's office to bring that message home as clearly as possible. But just to start us out, we're going to bring a little bit of the arts into this event today. So I'd like to introduce Dwayne Ponce, who's going to read a couple of his poems that are relevant to this issue. Dwayne Ponce.
I want to let people know I brought a couple. I'm the co-editor of Raising Our Voices, an anthology of ordinary poets against the war. Came out a couple years ago, and I brought a few copies of them. They're on the table. They're for free. If anybody would like a copy, you're welcome to take one. I'm going to start by reading a poem by my partner and the co-editor of Raising Our Voices. This is called All the Naked Emperors. If we put them end to end, all the naked men, all the naked emperors from the first in Earth's history to the last, they would circle the globe. A million moons shining up at the sky, their mouths full of dirt, their penises sticking into the soft earth, and their anuses would be singing, reaching for a high note, describing their glorious raiment, their illustrious careers, how the people loved them, and how they changed the world. And I'm just going to read a couple of poems to start out with. This is called From the Skin. I entered the belly of the crosstown train. Across from me, a young soldier is gazing at Portland, grim and gray. I look to see what he is seeing, and what I see is the crumbling facade of modernity clinging desperately to the old city inside, which is trying to shed its itching skin. I'm suddenly aware that under the plaster lies something closer to the truth. Old streams that still travel their ancient course, breaking down bones of woolly mammoths killed by the last chthonic belch. This old tooth of a city is, I see, no fossil, but some living carnivore, long thought extinct, ravenous like the methane beast that waits in the bogs beneath the Siberian permafrost, ready to devour these latest upstarts to challenge its dominion. In the newspaper, I read that the river has swallowed a farmer's field, the storm has swallowed a city, monsters have emerged from the skin of old and brittle men who sacrifice to the dragon this tender young flesh, which so willingly goes into the gullet, oblivious to the flashing teeth. And finally, I'd like to read, this is, I'm not really a religious person, but this is a kind of a prayer. It's called, O Spirit of My People. Who can write poems in the shadow of angels? Who can write poems on a tear-stained cheek? Who can write poems on oil and sand with a comrade's still warm blood? Who can write poems in a language extinguished by the murder of a people? Who can write poems on the melting glaciers? Who can walk the streets of drowned cities? Who can describe the final haunting cry of the planet's last living raptor? Who can sing the petals of a trillion dying buds? Who can dance on the edge of the abyss with the ghosts of her fleeting children? Who can exclaim this love to the moon? Who can scream this rage at the stars? Who can soothe this broken heart? Who can write poems with the ink of collapsing atoms on the event horizon of the black hole at the center of the galaxy? Who can glide his boat along the banks of denial while praying to his God of hope? Who can write poems like butterflies on a warm summer day? Who can write poems like violets in the silent spring? Who can pen sonnets on this morning of our suicide? Where are the poets who can speak this unspeakable beauty? Who has the wisdom to restore the balance of this tilting world? Who can write poems to lift our sinking spirits? Who can write poems to make us dream once more? Who can write verses with the laughter of children? Who can sing stanzas of the morning sweet mist? Who can inscribe poems on the surface of the setting sun? Who can write poems on this beating heart? Who can give us the strength we need, O Spirit of my people? Who can give us the courage to continue this struggle? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. It's a pleasure to have you here and to be working together once again on this issue as we have so many times in the past. So I'd like to call Tom Hastings up here now. Tom's been one of the organizers right along of this movement to get Senator Smith to vote against the war, and he's been arrested probably more times than anybody else here so far. So Tom, why don't you come up and say a few words to us about what's driving you?
I guess the main thing for me, the image that I keep in my mind is that famous one that went out over Al Jazeera and that pretty much every Arab on planet Earth has seen, and that is the photo of the little girl whose foot was blown off by a U.S. bomb during shock and awe. And her uncle is carrying her. She's unconscious, and she looks so totally violated, and she's so totally, her face is so totally sweet and in such complete pain that when I think about the small sacrifices that we ask of each other in confronting the rich, Gordon Smith is one of the richest senators, in the rich senators and other rich war profiteers who continue to fail to stop this war. They started it, and they continue to fail to stop it. And I think about these poor children, and it's such a small thing to me for us to be out here. Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, we're going to be picking up some trash around town as part of our community service or whatever the consequences are, and the handcuffs will pinch for a little while, and that's all really, really minor. If we can shorten this war by one day, we will have done a really, really good thing. And I think in just a few minutes, then we're going to go ahead and go up to the senator's office, or as close to it as we can get, and we're going to feel like each and every one of you is with us. And I know that there are people who are phoning and faxing the senator's office starting now about this, and it feels like all of them are with us. And there were 15 to 20,000 people in the streets of Portland, and we go up there with that constituency too. So we feel a lot more than our puny little six selves when we go ahead. We carry with us a whole movement of people in this town across this country, 70% of Americans want this thing ended before Thursday. Okay? They don't want to hear, well, we're just going to fund it for another few months while we work through some details. They know that each day DOD is sending back notices of another 1, 2, 3, 10, 12 American GIs over there who are coming back dead. They know that those notices are sent out to anybody who chooses to go to the DOD website and receive them. It's a reminder, I'm very sad to say, that comes more than once a day into my email box. So we carry a lot with us when we go up there. 70% of the people of this country, and probably 95% of the people of planet Earth disagree with our regime here and want us to do this. Probably 95% of the people in the countries in the so-called coalition disagree with their leaders in keeping their troops in Iraq. So this asymmetry of the powerless is a bizarre concept when you consider that we basically have planet Earth on our side as we do this today. So that's a real back straightener for us. And we hope increasingly that it's a challenge to Gordon Smith. Who's up next? I think are we going through the folks now who are going to risk arrest?
No, I think it's Kerry.
Oh, okay. I'm out of turn then. Kerry's in.
Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate your comments, and we also appreciate your leadership and your assistance in all the work that's gone on. Another person who's done an incredible job in supporting the folks that have gone up here. Every time that somebody goes up here and risks arrest, there's one person that's always here to help them, and that person is Kerry Bassett.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to keep this very brief. But, you know, back in the 60s when I was out here, I didn't think I'd ever have to be here again. And I find it heartbreaking that every day people are dying and other people are sitting quietly in their homes and they're listening and they're talking to each other about it. Okay. But they're not doing anything about it to stop. And I seriously believe that when people come out and speak, our representatives will do what we're asking them to do. And today we're asking them to stop funding the war. Bring them home now. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kerry, and that is a great reminder. That's what we're here to do. You know, one of the problems with dealing with Senator Smith is that we'd like to go talk to him, but we can't talk to him because they won't let us into his office. Now, you figure that out. He's the senator, he's one of 2 senators from the entire state of Oregon, but we cannot get in to talk to him. We can't even get to his office because the security people over there claim it's private property and they have the right to keep us from a public office. Now, I'm going to challenge that in court right coming up here because I've got that sort of set up right now, but I'm fairly outraged about it. I hope you are too. The senator should not be isolated and insulated from the people in that way. Well, we're going to try and get some people in there today, as we have tried a number of times. I think this will be the 9th time that we've tried to get people up there. And so let's hear from some of them today. Would you like to say a word or two? Not especially. Who? Clyde? Clyde Chamberlain.
Well, good morning. Besides being a seriously pissed off grandparent, I'm just going to make it really short and simple. $100 billion more is not going to end this war. 18 more months is not going to end this. It's not the answers we're looking for. It's not the answers all of us want and need. Senator Smith needs to vote his conscience, and I'm not talking his political up here conscience. I'm talking his conscience from here. He's got a family. He has a faith. He needs to stand up and vote that way. Thank you.
Right on, right on. Neil? Yeah, come on up here, Neil. I forget your last name.
Hi everybody, I'm Neil Donor. I just real short and sweet. Senator Smith, in your heart of hearts, you got to know that this war is wrong. Metal in the air is very unhealthy for living things. Defund the war now. Let's end this.
All right, anybody else who's going up there? Rhoda, would you like to talk? Bruce?
It just seems natural to me, we should learn from our experiences of the past, and, being a Vietnam veteran, it just seems like we're repeating what we did before. We never gained anything last time. I don't see us gaining anything this time, and I just say shame on you.
Okay, Rhoda Moore is another person who's going up there today. I don't know why it's starting to squeak.
This is the statement that I'm going to hopefully leave with Smith's representatives. Why I am willing to cross the line at Senator Gordon Smith's office. I am crossing the line at your office, Senator Smith, to insist that you vote no on the supplemental war spending bill. Like many people in Oregon, I believe the best course of action for our country at this time, right now, is to remove our troops from Iraq. The majority of the people in Oregon would support you if you work to bring our troops home. The sentiment of the people counts for something in an election, not just the money of the few. Those in the minority who say we must remain in Iraq to fight terrorism are simply ignorant of the fact that our presence there actually increases the threat of terrorism against America. Those who say our economy would suffer if we pulled out are either ignorant or greedy partakers of military contracts. We desperately need to keep all this military money right here in Oregon. It makes no sense to let a few military contractors get wealthy while a large percentage of Americans are either at or near financial crisis. In fact, the greed of those military contractors is deeply unpatriotic, and I, with many other Americans, am calling for an immediate stop to it.
Thank you, Rhoda. Well, the situation in Congress right now, in case you aren't aware, let me run it down for you. So far what's happened is that the supplemental spending bill has passed the House, and it's also passed the Senate, but it passed with different versions. And so what that means, when that happens in Congress, is that they put together what they call a conference committee. Usually a couple of members from each house get together and they try and iron out the differences between the bills. Now, there's a bunch of folks in Congress who don't want there to be any sort of a timeline attached to the supplemental spending bill. And currently, it does have a timeline attached to it. The timeline, unfortunately, doesn't begin until next March and continues until next September 2008. In other words, we all know that we're going to get out of Iraq pretty soon. But we're not going to get out now for some reason. And if people keep dying at the rate that they've been dying, that means 1,500 more Americans will die over there, and probably 100,000 more Iraqis will die over there, and $100 to $200 billion of our tax money will be spent over there when we already know that we're going to get out. Now, that's criminal as far as I'm concerned, and I heard Gordon Smith say that it was criminal too. So why won't he vote? Why won't he vote to bring those troops home now rather than expend another 1,500 American lives and another 100,000 Iraqi lives and another 200 billion US dollars. It makes no sense, my friends. It makes no sense, and I think that's why you're here, that's why I'm here, and that's why those people are going up to that office today. So I want to wish those people Godspeed. I want to wish them better luck than I had a couple of weeks ago when I went up there and got stopped right up there and wasn't even allowed in the office. And I want you folks over there who are listening, you folks who are in the security guards, you're going to be in court. You are. I'm having you in court over this. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish the people Godspeed who are going in there today, and I hope they get a little bit further. So, can you all say, end the war? End the war! Try it again. End the war! What did you say? End the war! Stop it now! End the war! That's right. Okay, thank you very much. Let's wish these people all the best, and let's give them some support as they go in. Okay. So as they go in, as befits what our experience so far is with this, Bruce Huntwork is going to play taps.